Hey everyone, John Henry here, slingshotfutures.com, and welcome to the Market Mindset, where we dig into the reasoning behind the moves today so we can better understand tomorrow. And today we're going to be taking a look at the crude oil. Now, crude oil overall had a really interesting type of morning in that we had a very big gap lower. Now, that gap lower, that comes off of the backs of that huge rally yesterday off of the inventory number. We had the inventory report come out only to have a huge run higher and then open today with this gargantuan gap lower. Remember, we closed yesterday at 51.80. We opened today all the way down here at 51. It's an 80-cent gap lower. So something drastically changed in the overnight session to today, and there are going to be a lot of traders that may feel like they're stuck now, especially any buyers who are in this move who held into the overnight session. They open up today way down here. That's not a good thing at all, and that may cause a lot of traders who were long to exit the market and cause a slight downturn. And the very first candle of the day kind of tells us that's what happened. Very strong bear candle to kick the morning off. But the problem is sellers now have to sell into major areas of support. These are the areas of support we talked about on our blog this morning. Now, with this area of support stepping up to the plate, it's very difficult for sellers to want to sell into that, and they may wait a little bit. There will be some sellers that do take this short and try to drive the market down, but when they see this into this, that's usually where they're going to start exiting. And that's actually why there's a long trade right there, because the sellers tried. Bad follow through. It still closed down, so that's a good thing. But when they tried getting back through it again, it completely failed and went into a bull engulfing candle. That's a huge problem for sellers, and there aren't going to be any sellers left that want to sell it anymore. They're going to exit above there, knowing that, you know what, if it breaks this, I don't want it anymore. There's a good chance that we go back up through the highs. So there's a beautiful buy opportunity to run the market right back up through those highs. And then we start seeing a little bit more of the story where we push back up into those highs. We test the high of day, which was at that point in time the first candle of the day, and they completely failed to break through. Look at that massive weakness on that candle. That is not a good candle for the buyers any longer, and it looks like all of the buyers who took this entry here, they got out. Right? They took their profit up there, because if they didn't, you would have seen another strong bull candle closing above those highs and looking to continue, and they couldn't get it done. Knowing that that amount of weakness is coming in, we see the sellers give it a shot one time, they pull back, the buyers looking like they're getting trapped in now, and then also came back to retest that high once again. Immediate resistance back into selling pressure. That is a beautiful reason to become a seller, to attempt to drive the market down. It fluctuated a lot before it let go, but inevitably they gave you a nice drive lower. Now notice one thing of interest here. We push down into this massive area of support. And this huge area of support acts as support once again. But what do we start seeing here? We start seeing the sellers completely fall apart. They're not able to push through the lows, but the buyers aren't able to get that big pressure like they saw before. They try getting a big bounce, they can't even trigger above the candle. They try getting another big bounce, a bull engulfing candle, can't even trigger above the candle. So what is that telling us? Well, the buyers are trying to defend this low, probably because their stops are quickly underneath. They don't want to get stopped out, but the sellers are completely dominating every attempt that the buyers make, and they're dunking it right back in their face again. And then they finally close this bad boy right here. That's the first time that the sellers have been able to close underneath that massive area of support, and that's also the first time that they were able to close underneath the tighter area of rising support as the possible wedge bottom. Everything now has basically gone out of the way. There's nothing anymore to prop the market up to prevent the sellers from taking over, and they swarm the market with a beautiful sell signal to just slam the market back down and finish off any more objectives that the sellers may have had. So just a beautiful back and forth fist fight that we saw today on crude oil, but in a very predictable manner. These are the types of days that they may not look that interesting, but when you start digging into each and every one of those candles, you start seeing the story unfold in front of you, and it becomes this epic tale that you get to go along with. So just an awesome day of trading today on crude oil, and just a good example of using that kind of mindset of the markets and what they're doing and what the traders are thinking to your advantage. So that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you found it interesting, and we'll see you next time.